On this day in 1984, we beat Liverpool 3-1 to go to the top of the First Division for the first time in 12 years. In this video, I look back at that great game. Hello, I'm Richard and welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. So in this video I just really want to look back at a game played on this day, the 8th of September in 1984, when Arsenal played Liverpool at Highbury in a game that would ultimately take Arsenal to the top of the First Division table for the first time in 12 years. And for me personally, it was the first time I'd ever seen us go to the top of the league, so it was a really momentous day for me personally as well. Just before I get into all that, I just want to make sure that you're all subscribing to the channel. If you like what I'm doing, please click on the subscribe button. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up as well. That would be much appreciated as I try to grow the channel. So I say this day, 1984, September the 8th, Arsenal were due to play Liverpool at Highbury. Now, this was only the 5th game of the season. We'd actually started the season reasonably well. We had 7 points from our previous 4 games. Liverpool was just slightly ahead of us with 8, but it was very congested at the top of the table. Now, just to give it a little bit of perspective and a little bit of historical significance really, the Arsenal of the early 1980s was very much in transition. The great cup side from the late 1970s, that of course had reached 4 cup finals in 3 years, had been broken up with the departure of Liam Brady in 1980 and then Frank Stapleton in 1981, and the club had struggled to replace them, as you would. I mean, you know, 2 great players. We'd struggled for a few years, and what had happened was the manager Terry Neal had lost his job after a poor start to the 1983-84 season. His assistant, coach Don Howe, had stepped in and had actually done a really good job. We finished the 83-84 season in really good form. We'd only lost 2 of our final 17 games, scored a lot of goals, moved up the table to finish 6th. And then moving into the new season, there was a fair bit of optimism actually, considering where we'd been for the previous 2 or 3 years. That summer we bought Viv Anderson from Nottingham Forest, right back, of course, England's right back, the first black player to play for England he had been, and also as well, of course, he had won the league title and the European Cup with Nottingham Forest, so he had experience as well. He was a winner and a really good addition to the side in a position where we were weak. Now, towards the end of the previous season, we'd also bought striker Paul Mariner. Now, Don Howe, of course, had been known for his defensive coaching, you know, both for Arsenal and for England. So it was quite a surprise to see him play with 3 strikers. But that was how we lined up. So this particular game against Liverpool, we actually lined up with Pat Jennings in goal. Of course, been at the club for years, great goalkeeper, but he was reaching the end of his career. In fact, this would be his last season playing for Arsenal in the team before he retired. The back 4 was Anderson at right back, Kenny Sampson at left back, so 2 good England full backs, and the 2 centre backs were David O'Leary, another experienced player, and Tommy Caton, who had arrived a couple of years previously and established himself as the first choice central defender. Now in midfield, we basically went with a 3 in midfield, actually, very modern formation for 1984 particularly. We had Paul Davies sort of on the left hand side, Stuart Robson in the middle, Brian Talbot more from the right hand side, but they were quite a compact 3, and then the front 3 were Charlie Nicholas, Paul Mariner and Tony Woodcock. So it's a really attacking Arsenal side actually, and that was why we scored so many goals at the end of the previous season. Now Liverpool arrived without Ian Rush, who'd been injured, so up front they had new signing Paul Walsh, who had signed from Luton, and he was partnering Kenny Dalglish. But other than that, it was another strong Liverpool team. Of course, they'd won the league the previous 3 seasons. They'd won the European Cup as well in 1984. So they were, you know, at the peak of their powers, if you like. It was always going to be a difficult game for us, you know, without any shadow of a doubt. Now, we'd started the season okay. We'd had a little bit of a slow start, a draw with Chelsea on the opening day, and then a 2-0 defeat at Nottingham Forest. But after that, we'd beaten Watford 4-3 away in a very entertaining game. And then in the midweek before the Liverpool game, we'd beaten Newcastle 2-0 at Highbury, which had included a great free kick from Brian Talbot and the first Arsenal goal for Viv Anderson. His forward thrusts down the right hand side had added a new dimension to our play, really exciting to watch. Liverpool on the other hand had won 2 and drawn 2. They were unbeaten. They were just above us in the league, so we knew that a win would send us above Liverpool, but it could also potentially send us to the top of the league due to other results perhaps going our way. Now the game started off, it was a beautiful sunny day for September, warm afternoon, as tended to be the case back in 1984. It certainly seems that way. I can't remember too many cold, rainy days, although I'm sure there was several. I was 16 at the time. I've just started working actually. I got my first job that August, so for the first time I'd been earning my own money, was able to buy my own season ticket and all that kind of stuff, so it was a good time for me. I was on a clock end that day, as tended to be the case, took me place behind the goal, massive crowd in, over 50,000. That showed where Arsenal were at that time, where the anticipation was. It was a lot higher than it had been over previous years, and of course it turned out to be a great day. Now Liverpool, as expected, started the game strongly. They had a couple of early chances. Phil Neal got forward from right back, as he tended to do, and fired just wide, and then Pat Jennings actually made a great save from Paul Walsh, a curling effort from the edge of the box which would have gone in the top corner, but Jennings flicked it over the bar. And then from that resulting corner, Walsh then headed a good chance wide of the far post as well. So Liverpool started off on top, but gradually Arsenal got into the game, started to put their authority on things, and had a couple of chances as well. Woodcock put a good ball in from the left hand side across the box, where a late run into the box from Talbot nearly got him on the end of it, but Liverpool managed to scramble the ball away. And then it was Paul Mariner actually to try to chip. Bruce Grobbelaar had a tendency to come off his line quite a lot. He did on this occasion, and Paul Mariner chipped the ball over him, but unfortunately it chipped over the bar as well. But just before half time, in the final minute of the first half, we got a free kick about 30 yards from goal. It actually was a very similar position to where Brian Talbot had scored against Newcastle in midweek. Right in front of me on the clock end, I was right behind the goal, so I got the perfect view of a perfect free kick from Talbot, which bent over the wall and round and over Bruce Grobbelaar, out of Bruce Grobbelaar's reach into the top corner of the net. And the celebrations on the clock end were just amazing, incredible. I probably ended up about 10 foot further down the terrace. It was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant celebrations, and of course that went on all the way through half time as well. And then to make matters even better, within a minute of the second half, we doubled our lead. It was Viv Anderson actually who was at the heart of the goal, made a great break down the right hand side. Liverpool were claiming handball, but it wasn't. He pulled the ball back, Paul Davis laid it off, and Woodcock smashed it in to make it 2-0. And at that stage it was just brilliant. The celebrations were mad. I've never seen us beat Liverpool before, and here we were 2-0 up, and you could sense that Liverpool seemed to have accepted their fate really. We could have scored a few more goals. We did add a third. Again, it was Anderson. Brilliant marauding run down the right hand side, whipped across in, and there was Brian Talbot again getting forward from midfield, made that great late run, a diving header into the North Bank goal, 3-0, game over. Absolutely brilliant. In fact, we could have even scored a fourth soon after that. Bruce Grobbelaar came running out of his goal again, as he liked to do. Paul Mariner beat him, knocked the ball round him and rolled it towards the empty net, but Alan Hansen got back to clear it off the line. And then from the resulting corner there from Paul Davis, Mariner put a header just over the top of the crossbar. I mean, 4-0 would have been amazing, wouldn't it? Anyway, as it was, Liverpool did pull a goal back towards the end. It was actually a well-worked goal. Alan Kennedy from left back got forward, played a 1-2 with Paul Walsh, and then knocked the ball into the corner of Jennings' net to make it 3-1. And Liverpool actually had one or two other half chances to get another goal as well towards the end, which would have flattered them in the scoreline really, because Arsenal had been dominant for much of the game. So the final whistle went, 3-1 victory for Arsenal. Absolutely fantastic to beat the three-time league champions. The last 3 seasons had won the league. Was absolutely fantastic, and the way that we did it as well, with a really good, brilliant performance that actually made us believe, so much so that the North Bank was singing, we're going to win the league, now you're going to believe us, we're going to win the league. A little bit optimistic in September, but the results had come through and we were actually top of the league. Now for me that was a great feeling. I'd never seen us top of the league before. In fact, the club hadn't been top of the league since 1972. So it'd been a long time, 12 years, and there we were, top of the league. I can remember buying all the papers on the Sunday just to see us in the league table, top of the league, which was a great thing. Now, of course, Arsenal being Arsenal, the following week we went up to Ipswich, full of anticipation, but we lost 2-1. Unfortunately, but we did go on a good run after that. I think we won the next 4 or 5 league games. We were top of the league again, absolutely flying, playing some great football. Looked actually like we could really do something that season, but inevitably this was of course Arsenal, early 80s Arsenal or mid 80s Arsenal, pre-George Graham, and of course that was never going to be the case, was it? The crash came as expected. We soon dropped down the table, and of course that season also saw us get knocked out of the FA Cup against 4th Division York City. If you remember that game in the ice and snow at Bootham Crescent, where Keith Houchin of course scored that last minute penalty to win it for York. But of course he almost got redemption with the Arsenal fans by scoring of course that great diving header against Tottenham in the FA Cup final for Coventry a couple of years later. But in the end that season, 84-85, Arsenal ended up finishing 7th. So from that great start, playing some great football, looking as though we could actually win the league, we actually finished 7th. Which I suppose was probably expected. Overall it was just a shame that after such a good start, and of course we finished 7th the following season as well, which turned out to be Don Howe's last season before the George Graham revolution began. But I just really wanted to look back on that game. It was on this day, I say 1984, 36 years ago. It certainly doesn't seem that long ago, does it? But it was a great time to be an Arsenal fan, a great time to be a football fan actually, with the terracing, with the whole experience of football then was so different to what it is now, and personally from my point of view I think it was better then. The whole experience of it was a lot better, even though I suppose from a safety point of view it probably wasn't. It just felt more fresh and more fun back then, and this particular day of course was one of the greatest days I'd experienced as an Arsenal fan up till that point. Maybe gave me a brief experience of what things would be like over the next sort of 10-20 years after that really. Beating Liverpool, being top of the league would become almost a regular occurrence, wouldn't it? A few years later, but that was maybe my first experience of that, and I just wanted to really share that. So if you was at that game, if you remember it, if you've got any good memories of that game, please let me know in the comments, and let me know what you thought of that team at that time as well. I personally thought they were a great team for a short period of time before it all went wrong, didn't it? But I say we would be rewarded a few years later. So just let me know what you think about, if you remember that game, what you thought about it, what your memories are, particularly that Brian Talbot free kick, which was absolutely fantastic. So that's that for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Brought back a few memories, hopefully for some of you older Arsenal fans out there, and for some of the younger ones, just a little example of what things used to be like for us as fans back in the day. So if you like, I say, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel as well if you haven't done so already. Help me to grow the channel. I've got some great content coming up. Of course, we're heading into the new Premier League season this week. First game against Fulham. I'll be doing a preview of that very soon as well. In the next day or two, that will be going up. And then of course once the games come in thick and fast, of course at the start of the season, there'll be a lot of stuff on the games, there'll be a lot of previews, and as well looking at different tactical things and what's going on, and hopefully as well a few more transfers coming in, and possibly going out as well, of course, before the transfer window shuts in about 3 or 4 weeks time, isn't it? So that's that for today. I hope you enjoyed that, and of course in the meantime, as always, we always finish the same way. Come on you Gunners!